Today let's continue to think about why did people leave their homeland and choose to explore North America. As you read along with me, make note of the positive and negative impacts of exploration. Today we'll read this section. I see lots of interesting images. What do you notice about these images and their captions? In this caption it says, horses brought by the Spanish to the Americas in the 1500s changed how many American Indian groups lived. Over here it says, these American Indians are shown suffering from smallpox, a disease that was brought to the Americas by Europeans. What do both of those images and captions show you? What is the impact of Europeans coming to North America? I would say over here we definitely have a negative impact. People are suffering from disease. And for this one, I think I'd wonder for a little more information. Is that a negative or a positive impact? Right now I'm thinking maybe negative because they're changing the way that they live and changing that culture. So let's continue reading and see if we get some more insight. A powerful exchange. In the Americas, Europeans found a variety of foods that were new to them, including tomatoes, pumpkins, and peppers. They transported these foods to Europe. Two of these new foods, corn and potatoes, became important foods in Europe. Potatoes were easy to grow and store. They helped feed Europe's rapidly growing population. Corn spread across Europe and to Africa and Asia. It became one of the world's most important crops. So I can see here that a positive impact is that corn helped to feed Europe's rapidly growing population, and that it made corn a widely popular cereal crops. I also think it's great that people are being exposed to and trying new foods like tomatoes, pumpkins, and peppers. So those are some positive impacts. In exchange of goods, Europeans carried a wide variety of plants and animals to the Americas, including wheat and grapes from Europe and bananas and sugar cane from Africa and Asia. Cattle, pigs, goats, and chickens became part of the American Indian diet. Horses and donkeys transported people and goods quickly. The arrival of the horse had an enormous impact on some American Indian cultures. On horseback, American Indians could travel farther in search of food and hunt their prey more easily. Horses also allowed them to use bigger sleds and carry heavy loads than they could before. American Indians became experts at riding horses and moving quickly to hunt or to fight. The introduction of horses and later gunpowder would make warfare between American Indian groups more violent. So I can see here a few things happening. What positive impacts do you notice? I see here like some new foods are introduced. I could see that being a positive impact. Here I can see that having horses introduced to Indians helped them to travel farther so they could search for food and hunt for prey, and then use bigger sleds to carry heavier loads than they could. I do see a negative impact. What negative impact do you notice? Yep, you've got it. So the warfare between Indian groups was more violent because of the horses and the gunpowder that was introduced to the American Indians. So what was that section all about? Yeah, it is about some of the impacts on American Indians from the Europeans. Next, the section is called Effects on American Indians. When sugar cane was introduced into the West Indies and elsewhere, it quickly became a profitable resource. Sugar cane grew well in the warm, moist climate of the Caribbean. The crop, however, had to be grown on plantations, large estates run by an owner or the owner's overseer. These plantations changed the land and caused the need for many workers to be profitable. So I can see a positive impact, that there is profitable a profitable resource, sugar. Oh. So sugar cane grew. This was a profitable resource, and it looks like um, we're maybe going to see a negative impact. I know I've heard that word plantations before, and it was not a positive thing. So I'm wondering what we'll learn about next. At first, the Spanish forced American Indians to work the plantations under the most brutal conditions. So right there, I can see that's a negative impact. American Indians were forced to work on plantations under brutal conditions. Diseases, which you read about in Lesson 2, caused a massive number of deaths of American Indians. The Spanish did not know that American Indians had no immunity to these diseases, such as measles and smallpox. However, once they saw the effects of the diseases, they could use them as a threat. By the early 1600s, plantations in the Caribbean and elsewhere in the Americas stopped relying on American Indian labor. Well, that's positive, but here we see by this time the Europeans started forcing enslaved Africans to do the work. So we're seeing some negative impacts here. There are diseases. People are having to work in brutal conditions, including Africans and American Indians. So, although in the first paragraph we see sugar, a profitable resource, is being introduced, that turns out to be negative for a lot of people. So, what were these pages all about? What important takeaways did you learn? Thanks for listening. You can go ahead and answer the question on the next slide.